Good day all, Unis Vita here. Welcome to the second part of my answer to the Atheist Challenge. I'm going to dive right in, starting with question number 4.
I've spoken with many atheists who feel persecuted because Christians and other religions believe that atheists can't be morally good people.
I don't think that persecuted is so much the word as insulted. To believe that because we do not fear, a cosmic overlord, that we can't possibly be good. To believe that all morality has its roots in fear, I think is kind of a degradation of what morality is. So, no, I wouldn't say that I feel persecuted so much as a little annoyed and occasionally insulted. But that's just my take.
And here are a couple of challenging questions I think that will deal with that moral goodness kind of thing. What does it mean to be good? Or does it mean to be moral? And do you have any concern for those things? What does it mean to be good or to be moral?
Absolutely, I concern myself with what is good. I have developed a few rules of thumb by which I live my life, which seem to work pretty well, and which I will attempt to explain here. But I don't for a moment think that these are all-inclusive or in any way exclusive of other concepts. I think the first and probably most important is to be considerate. This does not mean being nice to everybody all the time. It means being aware enough to consider the effects and consequences of your actions on the lives of other people. Now, all consequences are not foreseeable, but a great many are. And if you are willing to take the time to consider your actions before you make them, a lot of pain and heartache can be avoided by not acting in a way in which you know will be harmful to others. The next is to act always without malice. That means without the intent to harm. I don't think that anger is necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that it is something that we can excise from our beings, and I don't think it's something that we should. There are some things that it is very important to be angry about. But I do not allow myself to act out of that. I only allow myself to act out of a considered process, which means that I will not act solely because I want to hurt somebody. I do not derive satisfaction from the pain of others. So, these are just a couple of concepts by which I derive morality. These are a couple of things that I consider to be good, this is something that I consider to be good, and something that I consider to be bad. And I do my best to always adhere to the idea of being considerate, and I do my best to always avoid being malicious. So, there are at least my ideas. I'm sure that there are a lot more of them, but this can only be a 10-minute video, so there's...
Number 5 here. Without a moral responsibility, or in other words, someone to answer to, I guess, is not the greatest good whatever makes a person happy, or whatever it takes to survive. Therefore, if being a pedophile or a rapist or some horrible thing like that makes me the most happy, it brings me the most pleasure, am I not doing good for myself? Am I not doing the good for myself? Also, should I not kill anyone who owns more food or more possessions than I do? I know that sounds very barbaric, but in a sense that would assure my own survival, wouldn't it? If I were to be the cutthroat of anyone that has more than me, that would assure my own survival. So is that wrong, or is that good because it would benefit me?
This right here is the question that atheists find insulting. Basically, if you do not have a supernatural, all-powerful lawgiver who is going to punish you for doing wrong, how can you possibly do what's right? Well, first of all, you have just absolutely eradicated any virtue that human beings are capable of. It's This is the most cynical question I have ever heard. Can you be good without fear? Again, we go back to the idea that the root of all goodness is absolute terror. That the only reason that you're good is to avoid punishment. It's not even really to get a reward. It's just to avoid punishment. So no, I'm gonna go so far as to say that no. If there is no supernatural lawgiver, it is still not right to kill, to rape, to murder, to steal. And this is true for a great number of reasons, aside from the fact that, from a purely philosophical standpoint, I would like to think that human beings have within them the capability of being good, at least on some level. I don't have such a dim view of my species. On a purely practical note, we have survived as a species because we are cooperative. We are not a particularly strong species. We are not necessarily well adapted to extreme climate changes. We do tend to adapt our environment to us in order to survive in it. And this could never, ever, ever have been accomplished if we had no sense of right or wrong. No society can survive when a majority of people feel free to murder, steal, rape, things like that. It doesn't happen. It can't happen. We are a social animal, and therefore we have evolved ways to behave socially without killing each other. Obviously there are exceptions, but we put these people in prison, or we put them to death because they are a threat to society. So you cannot divorce the human conscience from our evolutionary past, from what is necessary for us as a species to survive. And that is the reason that, practically speaking, we are moral. On a more philosophical note, since we are capable of philosophy, it is hoped that we are also capable of being good for its own sake, and being able to understand that when you cause great harm, that is a bad thing. So that is my answer to that question. And when you went back to the idea of us feeling persecuted, this is not the question that makes us feel persecuted. It's the one that insults us.